Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Welcome back to my class. Hope you're fine. In this chapter, or in this video, we are about to start chapter 9, that is benefit cost analysis and public sector economics. If you remember, the evaluation methods of previous chapters are usually applied to alternatives in the private sector. That is for profit and not for profit corporations or businesses. However, this chapter will introduce public sector and service sector alternatives and their economic considerations as well. In the case of public sector projects, the owners and users are the citizens and residents of a government unit, city, such as city, country, state, or province. Government units provide the mechanisms to raise capital and operating funds. Public-private partnerships have become increasingly common, generally for large infrastructure projects such as major highway, power generation plants, and water resources development. Similarly, the benefit-cost ratio introduces objectivity into the economic analysis of public sector evaluation, thus reducing the effect of politics and special interest. The B over C or benefit cost analysis can use equivalency computations based on present worth, annual worth, or future worth values. If performed correctly, the benefit cost analysis method will always select the same alternative as present worth, annual worth, and rate of return analysis will select. This chapter also introduces service sector projects and discusses how their economic evaluation is different from that of other projects. Finally, there is a discussion on professional ethics and ethical dilemmas in the public sector. So that was a brief overview of the chapter, what we are going to do in that chapter. Now let's go through the contents of that chapter. So first of all, we'll define what we mean by a public sector project. Then we'll explain differences in public versus private sector projects. Then we'll learn how to calculate benefit cost ratio for single project and how to select better of two alternatives using B over C method for one project and for two projects as well. Then how to select best of multiple alternatives using benefit cost ratio or benefit cost method. Then how to use cost effectiveness analysis to evaluate service sector projects. And the final topic of that chapter will be describe how ethical compromises may enter public sector projects. So let's start with defining what we mean by a public sector project. Virtually all the examples and problems of previous chapters have involved the private sector, where products, systems, and services are developed and offered by corporations and businesses for use by individual customers and clients, the government, or other companies. Except few problems in chapter 5 and 6, where we discuss the concept of capitalized cost, because this is normally used for long life projects, and long life projects are most of the times public sector projects. So a public sector project is a product, service, or system that is used, financed, and owned by the citizens of any government level. It can be a town, it can be a provincial government, national government, city government. So it can be any level of government. And owners are citizens, because citizens are providing the funds in form of taxes, fees, and other levies to build these projects. That's why owners are citizens. The primary purpose of public sector projects is to provide services to the citizens for the public good at no profit. So the main distinction between a public sector project and a private sector project is that The private sector projects are for profit making. On the other hand side, public sector projects are for the benefit of citizens and not for profit. Areas such as public health, criminal justice, safety, transportation, welfare, and utilities are publicly owned and require economic evaluation. And few examples of these projects or public sector projects can be hospitals and clinics. Like public sector hospitals and clinics are for the welfare of public and not for profit making, and they are built by public money such as taxpayers money. Similarly, parks and recreation places, utilities, water, electricity, gas, and sanitation systems. Then public sector schools, universities, other convention centers, sport arenas or stadiums, or you can say transportation system, highways such as motorway or general traffic road, GT road, and criminal justice, you can say police department or judiciary system. All these are examples of public sector projects. Now, what is the difference between public sector and private sector projects? So, we'll differentiate between public sector and private sector projects on the basis of several characteristics of both projects. For example, size of the investment. In public sector projects, we need large investments, and in private sector projects, we need small investment, sometimes medium investment, and large investment in rare cases where a private project is very big. So often alternatives developed to serve public needs require large initial investment, possibly distributed over several years. For example, highways, public transportation systems, universities, airports, hospitals, all these projects require large investment. And in case of private hospitals or in case of private universities, infrastructure most of the time is small as compared to the public sector hospitals or universities, but exceptions can be found. But most of the time this is true that private sector projects require small to medium level investment but not large investment. But on the other hand side, public projects always require large investments. Then life of the public sector projects is long as compared to the private sector projects. Normally the life of a public sector project is between 30 to 50 years, maybe more than this in certain cases, and private sector projects last between 2 to 25 years. The long lives of public sector projects often prompt the use of the capitalized cost method, where infinity is used for n and annual costs are calculated as A is equal to P into I, the capitalized cost method I am referring to. Then the next difference is annual cash flows. So public sector projects are not for profit, and in public sector projects we consider CBD, which refers to costs, benefits, and disbursements. As I explained earlier, that the purpose of public sector projects is to uh, promote well-being of the people or serve their needs, but not to make profit. On the other hand side, in private sector projects, all private sector projects are profit oriented. And in case of public sector projects, we need to consider costs, benefits, and disbenefits of a project. What we mean by cost? Costs are estimated expenditures to the government entity for construction, operation, and maintenance of the project, less any expected salvage value at the end of the life of the project. So these are costs, means amount of funds required to construct, operate, and maintain a project. Then benefits. Benefits are advantages to be experienced by the owners or public in monetary terms. Then disbenefits. Disbenefits are expected undesirable or negative consequences to the owners if the alternative is implemented. These benefits may be indirect economic disadvantages of the alternative. These also needs to be estimated in monetary terms. For example, if government is planning to build a road, or if government is planning to build a factory in an area, so it may have some costs, benefits, and disbenefits. So cost will be the amount needed to construct, and build, maintain, and operate the factory. Then benefits will be the revenues generated from that factory, and disbenefits will be the potential threats to the general public. For example, in case of industry, uh, pollution may increase that may damage or deteriorate the health of the people. So the health expenditures will increase. So this is a disbenefit of that project. So we need to consider the monetary value of these disbenefits as well. The next thing is sources of funds. Normally, for public sector projects, the funds are provided through taxes, fees, and bonds. And in private sector projects, funds are provided from stocks, bonds, and loans. Now, taxes, as I explained earlier, that public sector projects use taxpayer money. So the taxpayers' money can be used to build or construct the public sector projects. Then the fees, like if we visit a public hospital, we need to pay a minimal fee that can be used to maintain the operations of that hospital. And if we are using a transportation system like motorway, we need to pay tolls. So government may use this fee to maintain or upgrade or pay the salaries of motorway employees. Similarly, government can issue bonds to raise funds from general public for a specific purpose. On the other hand side, private sector projects can raise funds by issuing their shares or issuing bonds, or they can go to financial institution or any other lender for getting loans to finance their projects. Then interest rate. There is a significant difference between interest rate for public sector project and private sector projects. So normally public sector projects may get loan at a lower rate of interest as compared to the private sector projects, because the purpose of public sector projects is not to earn profit, just to facilitate the public. That's why government institutes like national banks or provincial banks may lend money at a lower rate of interest for public sector projects, and rate of interest is high for private sector projects, but because their purpose is not to serve the needs of public but to generate profits. That's why the most common term for public sector projects rate of interest is discount rate or social discount rate. So keep that distinction in mind. Then selection criteria. So the public sector projects are selected on the basis of multiple criteria, like interests of the people, and on the other hand side, private sector projects are based on just rate of return criteria. Just basis on the rate of return. If the rate of return is greater than or equal to MARR, the project is acceptable, otherwise not. On the other hand side, along with benefit cost analysis, we need to consider multiple criteria for public sector projects, such as we need to consider the interests of the public, politicians, office bearers. So these are a few other criteria that can be considered other than benefit cost analysis. Then finally, the environment of evaluation. In case of public sector projects, the environment of evaluation is politically inclined, and in case of private sector projects, the environment of evaluation is only economics. Even though a public sector project has met all economic criteria, but cannot be implemented due to some political issues. For example, a major project is of a Kalabagh construction of Kalabagh Dam in Pakistan. but we are unable to start this project due to the environment of evaluation that is politically inclined, because sentiments of people of a specific province are attached to that project, and they are not in favor of constructing that project. That's why this is being delayed since many years. So, in public sector projects, environment of evaluation and selection criteria is affected by political environment as well. So these are few differences between public sector and private sector projects. Now let's move to our next topic, that is design, build, operate, maintain finance contracts. So DBOMF stands for design, build, operate, maintain finance contract. So this type of contracts are turnkey approach to a project. It means that a contractor required to perform all the design, build, operate, maintain, finance activities with collaboration and approval of the owner or the government unit. The activity of financing is the management of cash flow to support project implementation by a contracting firm. Although contractor may assist in some instances, but the funding remains the government's responsibility through bonding, commercial loans, taxation, grants, and gifts. As I explained earlier, that sources of funds for public sector projects are taxes, fees, and other loans from government sector, banks or financial institutions, and by issuing bonds, they can generate money, or they can raise charities for public sector products like building hospitals. So there are certain options available for government or public sector project funding. And from this discussion, we can conclude that if we have a type of contract in which contractor is required to design, build, operate, maintain, and finance the project. So this kind of contract is known as design, build, maintain, finance contract, because everything is the responsibility of the contractor. On the other hand side, we have design, build, operate, and maintain project. In such kind of projects, the financing activity is not managed by the contractor, and rest of the responsibilities lies with the contractor. There are some benefits of design, build, operate, and maintain, and finance projects. Because cost and time savings in the design, build, and operate phases can be saved by the government. So government can have earlier and more reliable cost estimates in that case. And they can reduce administrative responsibilities at the part of government, as everything lies in the hands of the contractor, and he is responsible to complete the project and hand over the key of premises to the government. So these are few benefits of design, build, operate, maintain, and finance project over other type of projects that are solely managed by the government. Then benefit cost ratio for single project. The benefit cost ratio is relied upon as a fundamental analysis method for public sector projects. The benefit cost analysis was developed to introduce greater objectivity into public sector economics, and as one response to the US Congress approving the Flood Control Act of 1936, which requires that benefits must exceed costs to justify federally funded projects. Later on, this becomes a criterion for all public sector projects. There are several variations of the benefit cost ratio. However, the fundamental approach is the same. All costs and benefits must be converted to a common equivalent monetary unit. For example, in terms of present worth, annual worth, or future worth at the discount rate. But the most important thing or most important aspect of calculating benefit cost ratio is to differentiate and understanding benefits, costs, and disbursements. Sorry, benefit costs and disbenefits, not disbursements. Now, one must identify each cash flow as either benefit, disbenefit, or cost. I have explained briefly earlier what we mean by benefits, disbenefits, and cost. So let's repeat it again. Benefits are advantages to the public of a certain public sector projects in terms of money. Then disbenefits are disadvantages to the public in terms of money. And costs are expenditures bear by the government to construct, operate, and maintain that particular project. So all three must be in monetary terms to make comparison, and they should be in same equivalence procedure, like whether they should be in terms of present worth, annual worth, or future worth. Note, savings to government are subtracted from costs. If government is generating some revenue, they will be considered as savings, and while conducting or calculating B over C analysis, we have to consider savings and they should be subtracted from cost. So here is a formula for conventional B over C ratio, which is benefits minus disbenefits divided by costs. So all terms must be expressed in same units as I explained earlier: present worth, annual worth, or future worth. And we will not use the minus sign head of cost. These are two most important things with regard to the cost benefit analysis. First, we need to make sure that benefits, disbenefits, and costs are expressed in same units, means present worth, annual worth, or future worth. Then we do not, or we shouldn't use the negative sign head of cost. Then we have modified benefit cost analysis ratio. If these benefits are treated as costs, the benefit cost ratio will change considerably. Therefore, care must be taken to classify costs and disbenefits. Modified B over C ratio overcomes this problem by using all benefits, disbenefits, and annual operating and maintenance costs in numerator and initial investment in denominator. So this is the difference between conventional B over C ratio and modified B over C ratio. Conventional B over C ratio is benefits minus disbenefits divided by cost. But on the other hand side, modified B over C ratio is equal to benefits minus disbenefits minus operating and maintenance costs and divided by initial investment. Note, if in a problem, just keep in mind, this is also an important thing. If in a problem you are asked to evaluate a project based on benefit cost ratio, it will always refers to conventional benefit cost ratio unless specified. If required, it will be clearly stated that you need to calculate modified B over C ratio. Otherwise, it will always be conventional B over C ratio. Then we have profitability index or present worth index. We call it present worth index because this is also based on present worth calculations. Profitability index shows the financial attractiveness of the proposed projects. Means in terms of profitability. It is same as modified B over C ratio, except that these benefits are ignored in calculation of profitability index. So profitability index is equal to net cash flows, means present worth of inflows minus present worth of outflows, are uh, benefits minus costs divided by initial investments. Net cash flows are the difference of benefits and operating and maintenance costs. It is used for the B over C ratio of private sector projects mostly, where these benefits are normally ignored because their purpose is to generate profit. They are not concerned about these benefits. They are only concerned about benefits and costs. These benefits are considered only in public sector projects. For public sector, however, these benefits should be included in numerator. Thus, profitability index becomes similar to modified B over C ratio in case of public sector projects. So there will be no difference in case of public sector projects. So benefit cost analysis for single project. All terms of B over C relationship or benefit cost relationship must be expressed in same units as explained earlier in terms of present worth, annual worth, or future worth. And the sign convention for B over C analysis is positive. So costs are also preceded by a positive sign. Salvage value when they are estimated are subtracted from costs. So decision guidelines for B over C, benefit cost and profitability index. Benefit cost analysis, if benefit cost analysis ratio is greater than or equal to 1, project is economically justified at discount rate applied. On the other hand side, if B over C ratio is less than 1, project is not economically acceptable. And similarly for profitability index, if profitability index is greater than or equal to 1, project is economically justified at discount rate applied. Otherwise, if profitability index is less than 1, project is not economically acceptable. So these are decision criteria for selection of a public sector project on the basis of benefit cost analysis and profitability index analysis. Now let's take few examples. A flood control project will have a first cost of $1.4 million with an annual maintenance cost of $40,000 and a 10-year life. Reduced flood damage is expected to amount to $175,000 per year. And lost income to farmers is estimated to be $25,000 per year at an interest rate of 6% per year. And we need to answer, should the project be undertaken? So after reading this statement, first of all, we need to differentiate between benefits, disbenefits, and costs. So in terms of cost, first cost of that project is $1.4 million and annual maintenance cost is $40,000. So this is for all 10 years, 1.4 million, and 40,000 is on annual basis. So it's better if you convert it in a single unit, like annual worth, we can convert it in annual worth. So we need to calculate annuity of 1.4 million for 10 years by using 6% discount rate or interest rate. Then we'll add 40,000 in annual worth of 1.4 million, and it would be the cost, total cost, or annual worth of total cost. Then the next thing is reduced flood damage is expected to amount $175,000 per year. So this is damage but reduced. So this project will cover or reduce the damage by $175,000 per year. In that case, $175,000 per year is benefit of that project, and lost income to farmers is estimated to be $25,000 per year. Means farmer will lose, or income of farmer will be decreased by $25,000 per year due to construction of that project. So this is benefit of that project. I hope these three terms are clear. Now let's go to the calculation or problem solving. First of all, we need to express all values in annual worth terms and find benefit cost ratio. So benefit is $175,000. This benefit is $25,000. Costs are 1,400,000 or 1.4 million is initial investment. So for converting it in annual worth, we need to calculate its annuity by using 6% rate of interest and 10 years. Plus 40,000 are annual expenditure, so they will come as it is. And after solving this equation, total cost will be $230,218 per year. Now I think we can apply B over C ratio. So B over C ratio is equal to benefits minus disbenefits divided by costs. So benefit is 175, disbenefit is 25, and cost is 230. So B over C ratio is 0.65, which is less than 1. And the criteria is, if B over C ratio is greater than 1, then we can accept or undertake the project, otherwise not. So in that case, we will not build that project. Is that clear? I hope it should be clear. Now here is another example. We need to calculate the B over C ratio for the following cash flow estimates at a discount rate of 7% per year. Now rate of interest is 7% per year, and we are given future worth of benefits, which is 30.8 millions. Now what we can do, this is future worth and it's better to convert them in annual worth. So we have to convert future worth of benefits into annual worth of benefits. And we are given annual worth of these benefits, which is $105,000 per year. And first cost is 1.2 million. Then we have maintenance and operating costs, $400,000 per year. This is also in terms of annual worth. Here the first process will be to the convert benefits, future worth of benefits into annual worth of benefits, and first cost into annual terms as well. And the life of project is 20 years. So benefits, here we are converting future worth of benefits into annual worth of benefits by using a over F factor for 7% and 20 years. So factor value is 0.02439, and the annual worth of benefits will be $751,212. Then these benefits are in annual terms, $105,000, and similarly we need to convert cost into annual terms by using A over P factor for 7% and 20 years for initial investment, and by adding 400,000, which is annual operating cost in that component of the cost. So factor value is 0.09439, and the resulting amount is $513,268. Now we can apply benefit cost analysis, or benefit cost ratio, which is B minus T divided by C. 751,212 minus 105,000 divided by 513128, and this B over C ratio is equal to 1.26. It means this is greater than 1, so project can be implemented or constructed. I hope until this point everything is clear to all of you. If you have any questions, feel free to write me and I will try to respond to your queries as soon as possible, and we'll come back with the next video. Till then, stay safe. Allah Hafiz.